In the deepest vaults of Windsor Castle lies a secret far more dazzling than gold. The Queen owned the most valuable jewellery collection on Earth, worth billions in diamonds, pearls, sapphires and emeralds. And yet, some of the most magnificent jewels were never seen on her head. Not because she forgot them, not because they lacked beauty, but because Elizabeth II understood something profound. Sometimes the most powerful statement a monarch can make is silence. This is not a story about forgotten treasures. It is a story about restraint, sacrifice, and the invisible crown the Queen wore every day of her 70-year reign. London, 1944. The city shudders under bombs. Rations are meagre. Yet, in Buckingham Palace, a mother chooses a gift for her daughter's 18th birthday. Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, opens her jewel box and selects the Cartier Halo tiara, delicate diamond scrolls created in 1936, full of youthful promise. It was a tiara meant to whisper of hope, elegance, and fairy tales at a time when war had silenced all such dreams. But history intervened. By the time Elizabeth could wear it freely, she was no longer a carefree princess. In 1952, she was queen, every gesture a message, every jewel a statement. The halo was too innocent, too girlish, too close to the life she could never return to. She passed it to her sister Margaret. Decades later, Catherine Middleton wore it at her wedding, its moment of destiny finally fulfilled. Elizabeth's refusal gave the tiara its perfect stage and proved that sometimes even jewels must wait for the right chapter of history. A blaze of green, a 93-carat cabochon emerald set in Russian kokoshnik style, surrounded by rose-cut diamonds, commissioned by society hostess Margaret Greville in 1919, inherited by the Queen Mother in 1942. Its beauty was undeniable, but so was its danger. Rumors whispered looted Romanov treasure, cursed stone, scandalous provenance. Elizabeth, cautious and disciplined, never risked placing such a controversial jewel on her head when a single photograph could ignite political storms. In 2018, the world gasped as a Princess Eugenie walked into her wedding wearing the forbidden tiara. Under the chapel lights, it flared like green fire. What Elizabeth had protected for decades finally shone, free of scandal, radiant in triumph. It was proof that even the most dangerous beauty can find redemption in the right hands at the right moment. When Elizabeth was crowned in 1953, Brazil sent a breathtaking gift: massive aquamarines mounted in a diamond tiara, later expanded into a full parure. She wore it with pride in the early years. The cool ocean blue stones symbolized friendship with a distant nation and reflected the optimism of her youthful reign. But over time, it became almost too much, too theatrical, too outsized for a monarch who had chosen understatement as her style of power. By her later reign, the aquamarine tiara was locked away. Photographers captured it only rarely, most memorably in the 1950s, and then again at a state banquet in 2017. Its brilliance was undeniable, yet it belonged to a younger queen, not the tempered figure of discipline she became. In the vault, it remains, a frozen wave of jewels, waiting for another tide to rise. Imagine a wall of diamonds. That is Queen Alexandra's kokoshnik tiara, 488 diamonds in rigid platinum bars, blazing like icy sunlight. It was designed to echo Russian aristocracy, a gift from 365 peeresses to Queen Alexandra in 1888. Its stark geometry, bold and uncompromising, spoke of an age that believed in grandeur and power. Elizabeth wore it a handful of times, most notably at state banquets, but in her later years it disappeared into the vaults. Why? Because its bold imperial glamour belonged to another era. Elizabeth, the modernizer, chose softer tiaras instead. Wearing it would have felt like slipping back into the imperial shadow her reign had worked so carefully to escape. The kokoshnik became less an ornament than a mirror reflecting the empire that was, and the commonwealth she helped create instead. In 1893, the people of Lincolnshire gave Princess Mary of Teck a diamond brooch for her engagement. Decades later, as Queen Mary, she transformed it into the diamond bandeau tiara, an Art Deco masterpiece of 11 sections centered on that modest brooch. Elizabeth inherited it in 1953, yet for 65 years, she never wore it. Why? Perhaps because it represented her grandmother's vision of modernity, a vision Elizabeth chose not to be trapped by. To wear it might have meant carrying the weight of Queen Mary's expectations rather than defining her own path. In 2018, Meghan Markle appeared at her wedding wearing it. The world gasped. After decades of silence, the bandeau felt astonishingly fresh, dazzling, modern. Elizabeth's refusal had preserved its surprise, giving it a power it never would have held had it been worn too soon. In 1970, during a royal tour of Canada, the Queen appeared in an unusual jewel, the aquamarine ribbon tiara. Stylized diamond bows holding pale aquamarines, almost whimsical, it looked unlike anything else in her collection. And then, it vanished. Not destroyed, not dismantled, simply hidden. Elizabeth never wore it again. It was as if she decided this playful, almost romantic design clashed with the image of steadiness and authority she projected to the world. In later years, it was lent quietly to her daughter-in-law, Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh. The ribbon tiara remains one of the most elusive jewels of her collection, a reminder of a lighter side she seldom revealed. Today, it stands as a tantalizing question: what other sides of the Queen remained unseen, preserved only in shadows? Diamonds too heavy to bear. The Cullinan diamond was the largest ever found, 3,106 carats. From it came 9 major stones. Cullinan III and Cullinan IV, nicknamed Granny's Chips, were mounted as a colossal brooch. Together, over 150 carats of pure brilliance. Elizabeth wore them only rarely, at her Diamond Jubilee in 2012 and once more at a state banquet in 2018. She joked about their size, but the truth was clear. These diamonds carried the crushing weight of empire. The brilliance dazzled, but the symbolism was harder to bear. Too large, too ostentatious, too heavy, literally and symbolically. Elizabeth set them aside, choosing restraint over excess. And yet, by doing so, she gave them a different kind of majesty, the silent reminder that even the brightest crown can be too heavy for a mortal head. 7 jewels, 7 choices. The halo tiara, the girl she left behind. The emerald kokoshnik, the risks she refused to take. The Brazilian aquamarine, a gift too overwhelming. Queen Alexandra's kokoshnik, an empire's shadow. The diamond bandeau, her grandmother's dream, not hers. The aquamarine ribbon, a lightness she could never claim. The Cullinan chips, a burden too heavy to bear. By refusing these jewels, Elizabeth II transformed them. They were no longer mere ornaments, but symbols of patience, sacrifice, restraint. She understood that true majesty is not in what dazzles the eye, but in what endures in silence. Her real crown was invisible, unadorned, and yet more magnificent than any diamond. The crown of sacrifice. And now, as these jewels emerge on new brows, Catherine, Meghan, Eugenie, Sophie, they sparkle not just with light, but with the weight of history Elizabeth preserved for them. Because sometimes the greatest gift a queen can give is knowing when not to wear the crown.